Okay, so I just want to talk about exact angles in trigonometry. So we're looking at 60 degrees, 30 degrees and 45 degrees. So the 60, 30, if you look at a triangle, and exact means like no rounding, okay? Some of these may have surds in them instead of using like a decimal point. So if you look at this triangle here, this is a non-right angle triangle, and I'm just going to do like an equilateral triangle, so that's 60, 60, 60. If I then halve that triangle and put it down the middle there, then I have an angle of 30, 30, 60 and a right angle. Okay, now this is an equilateral triangle. I'm going to allow the sides to be 2, so that would be 2, 2 and 1. So to turn the third side here, x squared is 2 squared minus 1 squared. 4 minus 1, x squared is 3, so x is root 3. So what that creates, it's a triangle that looks like this, root 3, 1 and 2. We call this our exact triangle, that's 6 and 60 and 30. So here's the exact triangle. This is actually also on the formula sheet, 60, 30. You could also write pi on 3 and pi on 6 because they mean the same thing. So if I now said what is sine of 60 degrees, you would go root 3 on 2. If I said cos of 60 degrees, you go 1 on 2. And tan of 60 is root 3 on 1. So cos of 30, that's 30, so it'll be adjacent on hypotenuse, so it'll be root 3 on 2. And sine of 30, you can get from the triangle, sine of 30 is 1 over 2. And tan of 30 is 1 on root 3, because it's opposite on adjacent. Okay. So say I have, I want to look at 45, so I'm going to look at sine 45, cos 45, and tan 45. So that comes from this triangle, 1, 1, and if you use Pythagoras, 1 squared plus 1 squared is 2 square rooted, 45, 45. So sine 45 would be 1 on root 2, cos 45 would be 1 on root 2, and tan 45 would be 1 on 1, which is 1. Now, just looking at, they're called reciprocal ratios. These ones aren't on your calculator, but the first one's sec A, or we'll go sec theta. So if I have a triangle here, this is theta, this is A, B, C. Sec theta, if you go to the third letter, it is actually the reciprocal of cos. So cos is A on H, so the reciprocal is H on A. So if you go to that, there's theta, it'll be C on A. So it's going to be C on A in this triangle. If you go to cosec theta, and you go to the third letter, that's sine. Now sine is opposite on hypotenuse, so cosec would be hypotenuse on opposite. So in this case, it would be C, which is the hypotenuse, on the opposite, which is B. And then the third reciprocal one, the reciprocal of tan is cot. So if you see cot, that's the third letter, so it's going to be adjacent on opposite, because tan is usually opposite on adjacent. So it's going to be adjacent on opposite, so it's going to be A over B. So if I ask you to find sec of 60, sec is the same as cos of 60. So cos of 60 is H A on H, so sec would be H on A. So sec 60. So if you got this triangle, 60, 30, I always remember the root 3's next to the root 3, 1 and 2. So that's going to be 2, and I'm looking at 60. So hypotenuse on adjacent, so it's 2 on 1, which is 2. Cosec 60, so normally it's the third letter, O on H, so this is H on O. So that's going to be 2 is the hypotenuse, and the opposite is root 3. and cot 60, normally it's O on A, so this is A on O. So that means it's going to be A on O, so it's going to be 1 on root 3. We could do tan of 30. Tan of 30 is normally O, this O on this A, so it's going to be A on O, so it's going to be root 3 on 1. Tan 30, sorry, it's going to be 1 on root 3, 1 on root 3. But if I say cot 30 would be root 3 on 1, because I did this wrong. Tan is O on A, cot is A on O. So if you go to 30, so this 30, root 3, 1, 2. So cot 30 is the third letter, which is tan. So it's going to be root 3, which is adjacent on opposite. That's why it's root 3 on 1.